Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. So, a couple of things. I just want to take a look at our production methods here. I know that we had some construction sectors on wood frame, but we want them to be on iron frame. As far as other stuff is concerned, let me see. Food industries are looking good. They're looking reasonably profitable. Textile industries, we're doing kind of rough here. Let's see. Normandy is looking very unprofitable. They could make more money selling luxury clothes, at least. Let me see. Yeah, same deal with a couple of these places. So we're gonna be producing luxury clothes all over France, it seems like, which is fine. Furniture manufacturers anywhere we're not particularly profitable. Yeah, I think we definitely need to be producing luxury furniture. I know they think they'll be less profitable, but they won't be. You can see the comparisons, so that's good. Next, tooling workshops. We got some places that are under that are not using steel tools, which we'll start doing. Paper mills and steel mills are looking good to go. Motor industries are looking a little bit rough. Let's take a quick look at the market. I know I don't need to be import subvening ammunition anymore. So, let's go ahead and snag that. We can set that to import tariffs. Now, engines, I can set to import tariffs as well. And that should be fine. That'll make our motor industries more productive. How many engines are we using? We're using 29 engines, and we're producing basically all of them within our market. Really all at this one motor industry, which is a bit of a shock. It's not going to be more profitable if we set a labor-saving method, so we will not. Now, what else? We've got our... We're not currently being as efficient about our soil use as we could be. So I thought I built up a larger fertilizer industry than this, but perhaps I did not. And my explosives industry is slightly larger. So let's go ahead and slate in a little bit more fertilizer production. We'll locate that in Ile-de-France as well. And as we go now, we'll focus on getting our wheat farms to a point where we're producing more grain, because that's very important. We are in the middle of an election. We're working on producing stylish designer clothes and stylish furniture. Those will help us corner those markets. We've got some places we are privatizing farms, and some places we're not. Slow enriching farming here. A rational discussion. Everyone likes a rational discussion. While meeting to discuss ideas, Francisco Javier Gutierrez and Ambroise de Persigny enjoyed a civil and enlightening conversation. Most expected a brawl. Some say that opposites attract, while others say opposites repulse. A few understand that one of the natures of opposites is change. Fire and water to steam, spark and gunpowder to explosion, heat and ore to metal. And so it is with a good faith debate, a leap in thought to form fresh ideas. Liberal civility is the way forward, extra momentum for the Republican Party. Francisco Javier Gutierrez's conduct ought to be commended. He gains the trait honorable. And what does honorable do for him? Gosh dang. What does honorable do for him? Honorable gives him extra popularity, and as an interest group leader, it increases attraction for the interest group. Does a whole bunch of things as an executive. Reduced throughput, but significantly reduced mortality. Unlocks the following orders. Wolf packs. What an interesting option to unlock from honorable. Or even the opposition should be heard. Extra momentum for the resistance party. So I think my plan is still to throw the resistance party in power. So I'm going to do that third one. That's going to give them even more momentum. And again, now that I'm just sort of strengthening the resistance party, I want them to lock in as much of the electorate as I can, so that when we swap over to them, we'll be in good stead. Now, I've got a good amount of bureaucracy, because I've been expanding to cover areas where I've had unrealized taxes or otherwise potentially in the future a shortage of taxation capacity, so I could increase an institution. Let's go ahead and bump up. I got colonization, I got education maxed out. Let's go ahead and bump up, let's bump up law enforcement. Pressing issues. The ongoing election is drawing attention to the platforms of the various contending parties across France. The electorate debates which party is worth trusting with the next term in government. We've seen this event happen before. I'm just going to throw as much momentum behind the Resistance Party as I can. And that's going to put them even further at the top of our little situation here. Obviously, the rural folk have become marginalized, and the industrialists are placing their strength behind the Republican Union, and that's just kind of made... oh, interesting. The rural folk went into the Republican Union. How curious. And that's just kind of made the situation the way it is. Now, I still have... yeah, I still have my extra legitimacy for another 19 months. But that's going to run out pretty soon, so I need to... I can't live with these parties that are holding it down at 50 legitimacy. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. Okay, so the rural folk are not... the rural folk are actually in the Republican Union, and that's the issue. They're not in a party. But the Republican Union, being comprised of the industrialists and the rural folk, is going to make them impossible to use as a government. Because those two groups do not get along. So, we are building up these fertilizer plants. There's the election. Let's switch up the government to consist of these guys. Now, the Catholic Church are powerful and unhappy, but I can actually get them over the line. So what are they looking at? It's the schools, the not being... oh, they're big mad about not being, about not having a state religion. Why are they -1 from freedom of conscience? They're neutral on that. They don't mind. They dislike wealth voting. That's kind of my thing right now. If I get off of wealth voting, of course, a bunch of parties... okay, actually, a bunch of people would be happy with oligarchy. But not the liberals. Trade unions would be furious, but I can't do anything about that. So let's go to oligarchy. Let's do this. Let's go oligarchy maxing. And that'll give us a chance to really change up the structure of things. Now, we are continuing to colonize over here. Let me just make sure there's not more locations I can colonize. There is not. Again, these are not viable, but this direction I can go in. And that's very good. Infamy is down to 13, so I could do another conquest here in Africa. So let's maybe snag Futa Jalon. I think now is the time. It's 8.2 infamy, but that's an amount that I can easily deal with. Nobody I care about is likely to step in here. So let's go ahead and hit that button. Once again, I will send the Army of Africa to deal with the situation. They only have one front to handle because they upgraded fronts in the new patch. Let's go ahead and build a few more fertilizer plants. This is going to make life easier for our explosives factories and our munitions plants, which is part of what I'm doing. These will be done in 9 weeks. And when that happens, we'll be able to swap over more of our production methods for our farms to using fertilizer. So let's just take a quick look at where we are with fertilizer. Oh, right, we're not in the right sort. I want to be in market price here. Fertilizer's about dead center, right? Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, we're pretty well balanced here. So I think in the lead up to those coming online, I'll swap over some production methods. Mining accident. A mine in the French Low Countries has collapsed, trapping miners within the dark shafts below. The scale of the accident has made the tragedy a story across the French Low Countries and the nation. They dug me out, but left my friend behind. That was all the foreman was able to get out of the wretched boy. Sooty rags clung to him like wispy strands of a torn funeral jacket. Whether he held back tears for fear of a beating or to keep strong, the foreman did not know. He was spent for the day. The foreman hoped the manager had a mind for mercy. So, our 3 options for this event. I'm going to go through them slowly because we're definitely going to have this happen again. This is a small price to pay for the march of industry. 5% of lower stratum pops in the French Low Countries become more radical but stronger and happier industrialists. This outrageous abuse of the common man cannot continue. 5% of upper stratum pops in the French Low Countries become more radical. Trade unions become stronger and happier. Or these mines are a blight upon man and countryside alike. 5% of middle stratum pops in the French Low Countries become more radical. Rural folk become happier and stronger. I'm going to go with the first one, strengthen the industrialists, because the other 2 are not preferable. And unfortunately, I'll just have to eat the radicals. I'll have to suck it up and deal with those radicals. The armed forces demand the promotion of Major General Prosper d'Argacy, touting his history of loyal and effective service. So many medals adorned his jacket that one could scarcely see the fabric beneath. But it was not yet enough. Chest puffed out with pride, the general smiled as he imagined the look on Daudet de la Prunierie's face when the lieutenant general learned of his imminent ascension. The rivalry was legendary among the officers. At last, he would have his due. So Prosper d'Argacy is a moderate, aligned with the armed forces. He's honorable, a traditionalist commander, and a basic entrepreneur. He seems exactly like the type of person who I should promote. If I say he's earned it, that makes them happy. If I say the armed forces will not force our hand, that makes the armed forces unhappy and reduces his popularity. I'm going to go with the first one. It's good to have your armed forces be pleased with the government. That's a maxim that regimes have failed to learn to their peril. So what this will do is this will cut off Britain from going further here, and that'll be very nice for me. That means I'll have first crack at a lot of Central and Western Africa here. Liberia has begun to colonize, but I'll definitely outrun them. Liberian colonization is extremely slow. Alright, just checking to make sure we're still in the top 3 for here. Nearly done with those. So we're about to double the size of the fertilizer industry. We're currently outputting 155 fertilizer from fertilizer plants. And each one of these we change over adds an input of 5 fertilizer. So we can change about 30 levels. Yeah, about 30 levels. So let's swap. We'll just start from the top. Provence, Normandy, Languedoc, that's 15. French Low Countries, that's 20. Poitou-Saintonge, Guyenne, and Brittany. And then once these change over, there will be a sufficiency of fertilizer for all of that. And there's logistics. Excellent. A lot of these are they're just pretending to be unprofitable. See, they're profitable. Ignore the red cash reserves going down thing. Law progressed to drafting. Very good. The Salish people are fighting against the United States. So we'll do another round of that once these flip over, and it'll be another 30 levels. We are still going to have more that we're going to need, but a lot of that is out in the colonies. We'll probably do another round. There's that. And maybe we'll start up fertilizer plants somewhere else, but we'll see. House of Orleans is progressing in legitimacy very fast now that we're in a big old righteous government. And the Catholic Church are loyal because they love oligarchy. We're winning our battles against the armies of Futa Jalon here, so that should be just fine. Do we still have a truce with Messina? Probably. We do. 4 years. That's right. I conquered Eastern Mali pretty recently. Colonization of Kenya complete. Excellent. Although we're holding part against Great Britain. And that is the conclusion of our war with Futa Jalon. Spain wants artillery. Would you like to perhaps pay me for it? Actually, there's a smarter way to do this. Oop, what happened? Did I goof it? Did I beef it? Where is it? I didn't realize that was going to go away. Artillery. So artillery is about 69 pounds. So 20 artillery is a cost of like 120. As a base cost of about 70 pounds. So 20 artillery is like 1,400 pounds. Okay, so we were... Did I say no? What happened? Okay, hold on. You wanted... You wanted some artillery. %45% chance they'll pay for it. If I give them a slight discount, like say 1,200, 62% chance they'll say yes. Let's do it. They said yes. Wonderful. Tuscany supports Italian unification. Hey, that's making my... Selling those guns has made my my cash flow better. I'm going to put... Let me see. Where have I got... Actually, here's a question I should ask myself. And that question is, where do I have sulfur mines? Because that's a good place. Lorraine. Lorraine is here. So this is a good place for fertilizer plants. So we'll queue in a couple fertilizer plants here. The ones in Ile-de-France will be done soon. And those will start getting built. And then, at the end of that, we'll be able to swap over the rest of our agricultural industry. Great Britain colonized the Rift Valley, which I'm also colonizing already. Again, I really hope they're not able to get around me there, because... Hey! Because if I get locked off here, that's going to be a problem. I may have made a mistake colonizing all these locations at once, because colonies kind of grow... All your colonization is basically split between your various colonies, so it might have been a mistake to do that. Now, Guyana lost their gold fields, but did not acquire new gold mine capacity, unfortunately. At least not French Guyana. Which is a shame, because I would love to be mining gold. Ottoman Empire is still recognized. They've got another... Bam! Okay, where are you? You're over here. Alright, easy peasy. Let's go ahead and send the Army of Africa. Once again. The 5th French Army... That's right. That's just... units in conquered territory that I can safely disband. And that's just fine. With any luck, we'll ace the move to Oligarchy, and that will help us lock in our regime change. Wow. Great Britain demanded that the shogunate of Japan change their regime to a wealth-voting monarchy. How curious. Under the petite bourgeoisie, no less. Tuat is also rising up. That's unfortunate. I'm actually going to need to mobilize another army. I don't want to just rely on the Army of Africa for this, because I'm splitting them pretty thin. I've also got a gaggle of irregular infantry in the 1st Corps that I can safely remove. I don't need them. Alright, let's grab a few more of our farms and swap over those production methods. Let me see. Wheat farms are the primaries. Over in Limousin, this is 10 levels. Burgundy, this is... And Champagne, that's another 10 levels. And then Franche-Comté, Aquitaine, Orléans-Berry, Manon-Jeu. I'm almost at the end here. Alright, and then all these are on the... You know what? We'll swap them as well, and they'll sort themselves out once we're finished building these building these ones, and that'll be the end of it for the wheat farms. And then once we finish with this round of fertilizer plants, it'll be a simple matter to increase the production methods for the others. Anywhere we have unrealized taxes? Looks like no. Let's queue in another round of government sectors. I thought we were going to make it. We're just short a bit. I think we need about 2 levels. So, let me see. Tax cap, we're a little low. Mostly nowhere. Picardy. Anywhere else we're incorporated? Not really. Not really. Alright. And Rhône. So I'll just throw those in at the end. They'll get built very quickly. An enthralling king. Ferdinand Philippe d'Orléans' efforts to consolidate power with oligarchy have been bolstered by his natural charisma. I don't like politicians. Most kings I wouldn't trust to run a bath. Ferdinand Philippe is a whole other deal. If you ask me, the best way to keep France safe is to let him run things and keep the other vultures out of it. Seems like exactly what he's trying to do. All power to d'Orléans, our liberator, extra success chance. Or d'Orléans' voice is the people's voice. Slightly increased success chance, huge increase to his popularity for 5 years. I'm going to go with that second one. That's going to give us a whole barrel full of more authority to play around with. And that means more consumption taxes. Let me see, we can throw the one on luxury furniture back in, and the one on coal. And that'll improve our finances. Which are a little bit weak due to these, these wee wars that were, the little wars. France can have a little war as a treat. We're actually adjacent to Sokoto right now, which means if I steal North Cameroon, I can move forward to Wadai and Darfur and Bornu and all these other countries with a reasonable amount of within a reasonable time frame, and that would be nice. All right, so there's the war here. This should sort itself out very fast because this is just a tiny area, and then we'll be right up against Sokoto. I could also look into taking these coastal countries. Great Britain tends to be a little bit more protective of them, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. Alright, there's colonization rights. That should be just fine. Looks like I didn't need to mobilize a second round of armies, but, it is what it is. I don't know how I got colonization rights to Sahrawi and French and Inner Morocco, but I did. 2 arms. And this should sort itself out very fast, because Tuat seems like a country I can definitely take over. Alright, and we are back to doing well. Investment pool is looking real good. Again, if I can get producing these top-tier goods, things will be easier. Alright, Prussia sides with Bavaria. So, do I want to do anything with this? This is a radical revolt. And more importantly, while they're occupied, can I take over the Rhineland? Rhineland is very, very unhappy with the radical movement. Do I still have a treaty with them? I do for another almost 2 years. So I need to be conscientious about that. Tuat has been taken over. Beautiful. That means our armies are demobilized, and now our cash flow is looking really good, because we're no longer building. Unfortunately, we've lost a bunch of authority somehow. But, these things happen. On the mode of communication of cholera. The source of a cholera outbreak in Paris has been traced to an ingenious surgeon apothecary. This has led to great advancements in the field of public health. The results of the inquiry, then, is that there has been no particular outbreak or prevalence of cholera in this part of London except among persons who are in the habit of drinking the water from the above-mentioned pump well. In consequence of what I said, the handle of the pump was removed on the following day. We need to keep the filth off the streets. Extra progress for modern sewerage, extra mortality in Ile-de-France, or epidemiology is a promising field, just extra mortality. We'll keep the filth off the streets. Give me that progress towards modern sewerage. And there's modern sewerage. Fun. Now this puts us within spitting distance of my love whom I adore, steel frame buildings. How close are we? We're pretty close in the society side. The other question, though, is how close are we in the military side? Because I would love to get breech-loading artillery. I think I'm going to snag breech-loading artillery. So we'll grab shell gun up to breech loading artillery, and then I'll just close out the whole rest of tier 2 in the social, and then we'll snag steel frame buildings. And production we'll kind of neglect because that's the situation, but you know, it's what we got to do. Now, in terms of tech, we are still significantly below our innovation cap. I would definitely like to build some more universities. So let's go ahead and build those. We got some urban centers that are not using the same methods. Probably conquered territory? Yeah, Eastern Mali here. Market squares. I don't know why I'm scrolling all the way through them to look. I should just be... Oh, right. That one we're keeping the same because the coal things. Let's throw 5 levels in Orléans-et-Berry, 5 in Auvergne-Limousin, and 5 in Poitou-Saintonge. That'll get us a block more of innovation. I'm going to cut one more consumption tax. Yeah, we're definitely going to do the one on coal. Just to make sure that we're doing okay authority-wise. I think we just lost... Nope, counter-revolutionary force are still going. King Ferdinand Philippe is still very pleased. Catholic Church is extremely unhappy. What are you extremely unhappy about? My brother in Christ, this was your idea. Oh my goodness. Will nobody rid me of these loathsome priests? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Give me all of them. Alright. So, the Catholic Church is unhappy once again. I think perhaps, but now I can reshape my government. It's never been in a... because they're Democrats. Gosh darn it. I had it on lock. I had it on absolute lock. Okay, so if I put these 3 groups in, I can get 85... Oh no, this is 71. 71 legitimacy. If I push out the landowners too, I can get to 79, which puts me in the legitimate bracket. Industrialists, no. Industrialists in Catholic Church, no. Industrialists in Intelligentsia and Petite Bourgeoisie, no. Intelligentsia and Petite Bourgeoisie, no. Dang. Alright, well, I guess we're going Petite Bourgeoisie and Armed Forces for now. This is quite curious. That having been said, I can appease the Catholic Church by, once again... Oh, but I didn't... Well, it's fairly even odds. Let's just pretend I'm going to do it and not worry too much about it. I'm going to once again pretend to roll back women's rights. That's what the Catholic Church likes. Alright, so now we should have a very solid supply of fertilizer in our market. Let's take a quick look at that. It's gone up and down. We are doing some fertilizer importation, but only a bit. So let's go ahead and increase the demand. We've got quite a few farms in places of types other than our main ones. So let's get our millet farms running the fertilizer method. They'll be more profitable with orchards in them. What about these ones? They'll also be. And if I reduce the amount of labor, that is actually more profitable. Livestock ranches do have the capacity to spend iron on barbed wire fences. I think that's going to make them more productive. I'll also swap these production methods over. Millet farms, harvesting tools, I don't think that's the right call. Can't figure out the maize farms. Rye farms are all in Bohemia. Alright, so that's looking pretty good for production methods overall. And that is basically all the time we've got. There's fractional distillation. Let's just do a couple more things and then we'll be good to go. So food industries, do you want patent stills? You want to all be on pot stills. Looks like you were made less productive at the lower end, but I guess that is what it is. We'll see how it goes. Organized crime. Criminal organizations have begun operating in Orléans-Berry. It doesn't matter if we arrest one person or solve one crime, it will keep going unless we go all the way to the top. Put some funds into stamping out the organizations, or I'm sure the authorities can handle it, minus 10% authority. I'm actually using a lot of this authority, but it's less than I would spend if I cut a consumption tax, so I'll cut a consumption tax and then spend the authority. Nice. Alright. That is all the time we got for this episode, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun as well, and I will see you on the other side.